Hello, and welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 428. Tonight, I'm here with Alex.
What's up, everybody? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. James Babb, the malinformationist.
Great to be here today. I'm glad to be here today. I tried jogging for the first time, and my heart felt like I was fully vaxxed. So
It's pronounced yogging. Glad you survived, though. And we have special guest Drew Cook with us. Drew Cook is the founder of the LP Sober Caucus and Shred the Stigma. Drew, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to be on here with you guys, man. I have kind of fallen out of listening to podcasts regularly, but Punk Rock Libertarian used to be one of my go-tos, man.
Nice, dude.
Appreciate that.
Used to be really good. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't blame you.
Yeah. Back when it was good. Yeah, I listened to.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, can you tell us a little bit about like the LP Sober Caucus and kind of what you do around harm reduction and all that stuff?
Yeah. So the Sober Caucus, the idea behind it is a twofold. The first one is having a group of people who are able to meet up at conventions or Libertarian Party events who, they're all kind of walking that path of wanting to stay sober, or they're in recovery. Maybe they're teetotalers, who cares? Whatever the case may be, they'd have a kind of an inclusive group that they could hang out with. The second part of that is what better voice within the party to talk down prohibition than those people who don't ever want to use ever again. People who've been there, been through the system, and can tell you exactly where this current method that this government uses is getting it wrong. So that's kind of the how it started out. And along the way, we were able to kind of pick up some grassroots efforts, like at the Reno LP National Convention. We were able to raise money for the local Alano Club from the Florida Convention. And do that. We've been able to raise money to put people through treatment and, distribute Narcan, fentanyl test strips, fun stuff like that. And then Shred the Stigma is the local to here in Oklahoma City harm reduction organization that I started up. We deliver Narcan, fentanyl test strips, clean syringes, condoms, all the stuff to use safely in and around the Oklahoma City metro area. We also do a needle exchange, pickup, and linkages to treatment, referrals, hepatitis C and HIV testing. Run the gambit, man. And that's who we are and what we do.
How'd you?
That's interesting. So go ahead.
Oh no, how'd you get? So what was your story? Tell us about your journey, man. Like how'd this all begin? And
So I used to have a podcast called the Clean Libertarian Podcast, and I would interview people from all walks of life. And I found out about harm reduction, and I wanted to interview some people who knew about it. And up in the northeastern part of Oklahoma, there is a group called Shots, and I brought them on the podcast, and they were kind of telling me how they got started. And I don't know, you ever meet somebody who talks with just so much passion that it just gets stuck in your head? And that's kind of what happened. They just had this vision and this idea, and I'm like, man, I can really get behind this. And I ran from it for a long time because, man, I'm an old IV junkie, that was my game. I was afraid of getting involved in this effort because, what if I'm having a bad day? I'm literally going to the trap houses, and dropping off clean supplies. Like, it's not going to be hard to find, what I'm after. But, man, honest to God, more often than not, when I'm making a delivery, I'm seeing the end stage of my own addiction every single time. I'm seeing where I wind up time and time and time again. Like I'm that dude who's went to treatment 20 times, like legitimately knucklehead, to the max. But anyway, so that's kind of how the idea got started. I've really leaned on them up there a lot. They've held my hand through every step of the process. Once we got the ball rolling, this took off, right? Like at first, our participants were like, they would see a flyer of ours. It's like free syringes. And they'd be like, what the fuck? You're the cops. You know, like there's no way this is real. But one by one, they would hit us up. And once somebody got a delivery from us, then they would tell their friends and then they would tell their friends. And it's just been exponential growth. So we were like, we need to figure out funding for this, you know? And that's when we did our first push for 501c3 status to raise the money for that. And Spike Cohen, Eliza Blue, I'm pretty sure y'all helped us, you know, amplify that fundraiser that we had going. And we raised enough funds. At the time, we were actually called Out of Harm's Way OKC. And so we got the money together, paid an attorney, did the bylaws, all that shit. And when we went to file with the state, they're like, this name is not going to work. There's another Out of Harm's Way in Tulsa. We're like, fuck, man. So that cost us $800 right there extra on top of, you know, the $2,000. But we got Shred the Stigma is where we landed. Shred actually stands for Safety, Harm Reduction, Education, and Delivery. So we like it. You know, it was a cool name, but now we got our 501c3 status, and we're just doing our best to really just meet our participants where they're at, man. You know, we've been able to, so like how treatment and recovery works is more often than not when somebody's like, man, I need help. They don't have any insurance. They don't have any money. They've burned every fucking bridge that they have. And so, you know, getting into a state bed is about the only chance that they have. Well, in doing this type of work, we're able to engage with, you know, some bigger organizations, nonprofits that might have the ability to be more flexible if the participants are coming from us. And so those are the relationships that we're working on now, you know, trying to streamline that process of, hey, I'm ready to get clean. Cool. Let's get you into treatment. It's been really neat, man. One of the other sides of the deal too, is we found out that the intersection in between, like, you know, human trafficking and exploitative situations and, you know, substance abuse go like hand in hand, you know, and we've been able to really kind of, with a few different women, like really break them out of that, you know, give them the resources, not like we're like grabbing them up and taking them. They got to make that decision on their own when they're ready. But I don't know, man, this has been just something that has been, it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing, man. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
It's awesome, man.
That's really awesome.
Congratulations, man. That does sound amazing. I have a question about the LP Sobriety Caucus. Okay, so I'm just thinking, you know, like the Libertarian Party's fun, but if I took away the beer and drugs, like what's left? Like, what's left to do in the LP?
So here's the thing. When we designed those bylaws, we specifically did not write down what sobriety is or what sobriety isn't, right? Like, you could be California sober. You could used to shoot heroin, but now you drink, you know. We don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to us. The only thing that we ask is, like, if you're in a hospitality room that's like sponsored by the Sober Caucus, like maybe leave the beer outside. Maybe don't hit the vape while you're in there. Like, that's all there is to it, man. Very easy going. Like, we're not trying to be isolationist within the party.
So you host hospitality. So you host hospitality, like parties at conventions and stuff.
Yeah, we had in Reno, we had a hospitality room, and we hope to do that again in DC. I know we got the OKLP convention coming up. We're going to have at least a space there. I don't know if we can afford a hospitality room, but we show up in force, you know.
Nice, dude. That's good. Yeah, it's good to include, especially at like LP events. It could be, it's good to have like a space for individuals that might be going through that and just kind of want to maybe, you know, just be in a space where, you know, they're around like-minded individuals that are going through similar situations.
For sure.
Relate. And then others could be respectful towards them. Like, so that's cool, man. That's good. I'm glad you're doing that. So you're out at Reno, the past convention?
Yes. Yeah,
Nice.
that was busy, man. busy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was out there as well, the Maryland delegation. But yeah, I didn't like the setup there, man. It wasn't really conducive to socializing and really like moving around to the other state delegations and getting to know people and meet people. It just seemed like you were crammed in one little area the whole time during convention. And yeah, it was kind of a bummer this year.
Yeah, I'm a chubby dude too, man. So like I had to shimmy up and down this fucking rows of those tables. I'm like,
I know, man. Those aisles
not
are
a good
terrible.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a good setup, but still pretty good time though, regardless.
Yeah.
So, but awesome, man. So you guys want to get into Clown World this week?
Let's get
Some
it.
of the topics.
Oh, it's
Babs,
deep. It's so deep.
Where do you want to begin, Babs? Because you brought some good ones to the table tonight.
It's like being a mosquito at a nudist camp, right? There's just so many targets. That's got to be the dumbest saying, right? Like,
Right.
how about Miss Universe? You guys, I didn't realize there was a Miss Universe still,
Right.
but evidently there's some amazing costumes and some fun speeches. Maybe. Jared, did you see the video I posted of the owner giving just letting us know what's up?
This one here?
I think this really sets the tone, just so we know what we're talking about here.
All right, let's give it a shot.
It has been 70 years that Miss Universe organization ran by men. But now, time is up. Is the moment really for women to take the lead. Welcome
We men.
to the new era of the global women's empowerment platform. Welcome to the Miss Universe organization. From now on, it's going to be ran by women,
By we men.
owned by trans women, for all women. For all women really around the world to celebrate the power of feminism,
All I'm saying is she's got a deep voice.
diverse cultures,
That's all I'm going to say.
social inclusion, gender equality, creativity, the force for good, and of course, the beauty of humanity.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. I think that's all good stuff.
When I was born as a trans woman who got bullied
Okay.
and sexually harassed by my
She
own
was
teacher,
Did she say she was
When I
born
was
as a
young.
trans woman?
plus
Yes, she did.
Did she?
Oh God.
my own teacher when I was young. Plus, I was not.
Clown
When I was born as a trans woman who got bullied and sexually harassed by my own teacher when I was young. Plus, I was not accepted by society because they did not want to embrace my differences. But guess what? Thank you. I chose not to surrender.
I
Yeah.
think we get the idea.
Yeah. This is ridiculous. Did you see the
Now check out the costumes. Now we got to
Costumes are
now check out the
ridiculous.
costumes. There was there's one from I posted a link for the Miss.
Wasn't there a
Ukraine.
Bitcoin one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Miss
Miss El Salvador.
Yeah.
Check out the link for oh, very nice. So
Miss-
for our
and Miss
listening audience.
Miss El Salvador had a little bit of a bulge as well. I don't know. So I don't know what's going on. She had a Bitcoin in her costume, but then if you got a little close, it looked like I don't know.
Trying to find her.
Oh,
this
there's
one's pretty
Miss.
wild.
There's that's Miss Ukraine there.
I posted
She's got
I posted a video
Oh,
of her.
God.
Check out the video I posted.
Yeah, is that an
Yeah, okay,
ASOF
like-
logo on the plate there?
Right.
Well, no, she's got arm sleeves to cover up the Azov tattoos.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Of course. Oh, I don't see
Oh,
the Bitcoin
goddamn.
one. We got to find that.
Yeah, let me get in the docs. I'll try to find it.
I've
Force
got a
Mommy
video
saying
that
hi.
I posted up in the comments. Let's see. It's Miss U. It says Miss Ukraine. It's a Twitter link. Do you see that one?
It's Force Mommy stopping in saying hi. Good to see you're back on the Twitter sphere.
She's back.
Nice.
Yeah, she got banned for
Good.
I don't know. Seems like even Scott Horton got the boot for a minute. I don't know what he did. recently.
I think he told somebody to kill themselves or something like
Oh.
that. I heard, like, at least I saw that as an example and a plausible theory. And like, well,
Yeah, it seemed like
I'm sure if he did, though, this person needed to kill themselves. I mean, I wouldn't, wouldn't doubt that for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can elicit that type of response out of Scott, you probably earned it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not what it was. That's just something that somebody showed me. So I don't know if it, I have no idea. But I was bummed because you guys know that Elon's my favorite oligarch, and I, like, really, like, Scott, like,
Yeah, I don't know.
how can I drive a Cybertruck knowing that he's censoring Scott Horton? Like,
Yeah.
Don't worry, you won't be driving a Cybertruck ever, dude.
they're never gonna make it.
They're never gonna make that thing.
Dude, play the Miss Ukraine video.
Where is it?
It's in the in the links. It's a Twitter link.
Oh no.
Sorry for the horrible
Towards
audio
the
here.
towards the
okay, I
towards
got
the
it.
top
I think I got it.
of the links. There you go.
I think I got it. Let me share it.
And then Miss USA had this giant monstrosity of like the world on her back.
We'll got to show that one next.
Oh
yeah.
my god, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Who still watches this stuff?
And considered to be the patriot life costume symbolizes Ukraine's fight for freedom.
That's great.
The warrior of light protects her country like Archangel Michael, who is a guardian of soldiers and considered to be the patriot of
Zelensky's
peace.
face.
Some bearded.
So yeah, for the listeners, it's
bearded
Zelensky's
face, yeah.
face superimposed on the Miss Ukraine.
But oh my gosh, yeah, do yourself a favor and look that up if you're listening, because it's insane. Just like robotic angel wings, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the Miss USA one we got to find as well. So I don't know. If you have
I
at
think
least
you
a
found that
photo of her.
Yeah, it's in there, Jared. It's the last one there, but
Yeah,
it's quite ridiculous as well.
Well, I think these costumes were more like parade floats. Like
Yeah, it was like
they're
a
very elaborate.
It was like a mummers parade. Slightly.
I'm all for it, right? Like
Yeah.
this is fun stuff.
What the fuck is happening?
Is that globe Earth behind her?
No, it's the
Is
moon.
that the moon?
It's the fake moon landing.
USA. When Americans stepped on the moon in 1959,
I heard that the moon weighs
it
30
was-
pounds.
What
That
the
weighed
fuck
30
is
pounds?
happening?
That's what somebody said. I don't know if it's true. It looks substantial. Yeah,
Whatever happened
that
to
would be like the.
swimsuits?
She could have won the mummers parade with that at least.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, the Archangel one was
probably
kinda
hard
cool.
Well, there were several with wings. Wings were the theme. Some of them were kind of sad. I felt sorry for like some of the
gotta
costumes
find
because
this-
they're like
Bitcoin.
it looked like, oh, your mom made that, like you're going up against like the United States and the entire military industrial complexes, like wardrobe, Hollywood, fashion industry.
This is
Yeah,
Miss Universe El Salvador rocking the Bitcoin.
See, my daughter and I critiqued this costume the other night, and we thought that maybe it should have involved a giant volcano that actually like spewed out Bitcoin from the top, like somehow, like, or some kind of pyrotechnic, like actual lava, like just really take it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? What's that? Is that almonds around her
It looks like almonds, dude.
or pistachios? Like,
I'm just,
I
that's
guess
not
is
the
that
moon.
their is that their
like Miss
punchy
Miss
plant?
USA had the moon, and you've got almonds. She must feel horrible.
Yeah.
It's so bad for her.
Who
Meanwhile,
won?
there's martial law. Is martial law still going on over there? Like, I did see some one of the El Salvador people. It was like they were just saying, "Oh, look, everything's better in El Salvador. The police and military control everything now." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like paradise."
Spoiler alert: Miss USA won. So Just
Miss
FYI.
I
USA.
don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. I got the docs
I
here.
thought it was someone from the Philippines or something, like, or maybe she's from the Philippines or
Filipino American. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's from Texas.
Rabani Gabriel.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So I'm sure everybody tunes
And
into PRL
does-
for the
I'm
Miss
not.
You.
Does anybody know if she has an Adam's apple or
I don't know.
just? It's not that I care. I just
Well,
just wondering.
I don't care either.
speaking of women that are so just this weekend, well, there was a trans story hour at the Baltimore library. So they have multiple branches throughout the city, and so I saw it and I posted it in Misi's chat. I was like, "Oh gosh, does anybody want to check this? Just observe." So I went down there on Saturday. It was at 4:00. They had drag queen story hour at this one branch of the Baltimore City Library. And of course, they had about maybe 50, 60 of the alphabet people outside. And then they had about, I don't know, 20 some people counter protesting this drag queen story hour.
Oh, okay. So, so the police were like ready to defend the story hour.
Yeah, the police came through. There was a police presence. I got one video, but I saw it live on Twitter. They're filming. So this is so this kind of gives you an idea of the scene. It's outside the church. It's a church, but it was a
Oh, it
library.
looks very colorful.
Oh yeah, they had all the rainbow umbrellas. So this is a clip part of when I arrived.
Drag queens belong in clubs, not libraries.
Abolish public libraries.
Yeah.
You call it
That's where it's at.
Taxation is theft. Degenerate shit in your own private home.
So here comes the cop.
Y'all need it.
That is.
Libraries.
See, but this is tragedy of the commons, right? It's tragedy of the commons. If you're going to have this common library, people are going to have to fight over what you're doing in there,
Exactly.
right? But it's stupid, right? Like this is the reason. Like we have private property, so you can have your story time hour. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like kids should have to pay for their own drag shows. Right.
Yeah.
Like as taxpayers, is that really something that should be subsidized? Like,
Seriously. And I just talked
if you're
to
into it, you do it,
Yeah. And the thing is too, and then I talked to individuals there on both sides, and I just went down there to observe and just kind of like, I mean, in all honesty, my mindset is just like, why do you feel the need that a drag queen needs to read to children? Like, what the first off, like, I just don't get that. And then furthermore, can't you see that these individuals on the other side of the street might have a valid argument that their tax dollars are supporting something that they morally disagree with, and the fact that and think is wildly fucking inappropriate. And their response is, well, this is for equality. Anybody should be able to read to kids. I'm like, anybody. So if an organization, like I mean, what the fuck? These people are fucking loony bins. And I tried to ask, like, I asked a couple of them, like, why do you feel this is necessary? Some of them parents that didn't seem, I'm like, why do you feel this is necessary to have your kid read to? And they're like, well, drag isn't sexualized. I'm like, what are you talking about? Or they would just
what
be
else
like,
is it?
Yeah, like what is exactly? And then they said, oh, do you have a legit question? They try to like, I said, yeah, that was my question. I was like, why do you feel the need to come out here to support, So anyways, I just was advocating for abolishing the public libraries all to begin with. And even their arguments were like, well, the drag queen story hour is privately funded. But I'm like, yeah, but the library isn't. Like, can't you see, like, people are going to argue what goes on in there? You're going to continue to
people love their libraries, even though they don't use them. Right. Like, just like people love the idea of a library, I think, more than anything. Like, and of all those umbrella people out there, how many of them do you think actually use that library for anything?
None.
Right.
Never.
Right. So, they're just, I don't know. Just it's ridiculous to see that these people are trying to defend the library. Like, well, I mean, it kind of gives the library a purpose to exist, right? Like, I mean, with Amazon now and the internet and audiobooks, like the idea of a library, it's kind of just for like homeless people to look at porn at this point, right? What else are they? I mean, is there any name why the community needs a public library? Like,
Right.
exactly what is the reason to it needs to exist, right?
Seriously.
I mean,
It's
I
not
could see
like
the
you can't
use
have
for
books
a.
now.
What's that?
I mean, it used to be like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we all had access to this huge sum of human knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But then they invented the internet. Okay,
Mhm.
so that argument, it died.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is what's left of their legacy. Grooming shows for
Yeah.
kids. Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah, it's gross. It's fucking gross. Like I'm just, but the other half of the argument is like they want to fight over what's allowed at the library. Just fucking abolish them. Just abolish
Well, it's
the
the
public
same.
library.
It's the same people that want to fight over what's taught in school.
Yeah.
Right. Or
yeah.
like it's the same. I mean, like, what if the or even fight about what should be allowed on the internet is now the new is the new version, right? Like, well, should this be allowed on Twitter? Should this be allowed on Facebook? Like, it's just like, yeah, for people want to fight over what's going to be allowed when it's these centralized or communalized information things. What if like the whole country had one magazine? Just one magazine, and everybody had to fight over what was good. Like, you only had one magazine to read.
Yeah.
But we're going to fight over what it's going to be about. Like, I like motorcycles. Like, no, I like fashion. It would be insane. But that's what people do. Now they're fighting over the library.
Yeah. So it was quite entertaining observing. I was there maybe like for about 15 minutes, and then
how was the show? Let's get to the good part. Was it? Was it great?
I don't have no idea. There's a news report in there, Jared. There was quite a few news affiliates there because it was a 3-ring circus. Oh no, it was. I didn't want to go in. I just wanted to see all the protests and the counter protests and just see the culture war.
That would be like Alex staring at the Ark, in like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. But yeah, I would probably, if I actually went in there and saw a bunch of kids, I probably would have not. It took a lot for me to just even remain for people advocating for it and asking them serious questions about it, because I'm sorry, I just don't see. You're subjecting kids to that. And then there was some dickhead local politicians that I just saw, 3 state delegates, and their spin is just like, we counter protested the hate that showed up to want to shut it down. I'm like, no, they were going to shut it down regardless. Like but they weren't going to shut it down, and they try to claim it's hate. It's like, no, this isn't hate. This is what the fuck's inappropriate. Like, you're legit grooming children. And there's I don't see any benefit. Like, that was my go-to question to every single person there for it. I was like, what is the benefit of a drag queen reading to children? And none of them, they would be snarky. They would just belittle.
Do you
They
think
wouldn't answer it.
Do you think they're getting their orders from the World Economic Forum? It's part of the depopulation agenda.
Oh, I think it is too. And that's the other thing too. It's just like this, like it went from, and some of them had their rainbow signs for equality. I'm like, when is it a bridge too far? When are you pushing this a little too much? And it's become such an agenda. And I think it is. I think, Babs, you're onto something. I think it is part of this World Economic Forum agenda. I mean,
sterilizing kids. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a movement to sterilize kids.
Yeah,
Okay, it's real.
Yeah, this is the next.
Whether it's people being idiots or intentional, it doesn't really matter.
Or intentionally confusing kids at an early age, or because this.
I think it's lining them up for let's get you some hormone blockers. We need a market for these hormone blockers, and it just happens to fit in with our depopulation agenda.
That's the next
And,
pharmaceutical grift. Is I mean, all the drugs that these kids are going to be on.
I think there is a lot of pharmaceutical grift. I mean, let's face it. I mean, look at the integrity of big pharma, like that we've been living under. There's no level that they wouldn't stoop to. I think that's fair to say at this point, right?
Wasn't there some new Twitter file that dropped that said there was apparently some pro-vax lobby was trying to prevent like generic alternatives to the Pfizer vax and all that, and apparently
I
there
didn't
was
hear
something
about
going
that.
on with Twitter, and they were getting them to like block that information or something along those lines. Let me see if I can find it.
I know. I think there was a Pfizer thing where Pfizer was lobbying Twitter, like the federal government had lobbied them to block and work on certain hashtags and things like that.
All right, so here it is.
To suit a narrative.
Yeah. So on let me mute this real quick, but yeah, so on Fox News they're talking about the Twitter files. It says new Twitter files reveal pharmaceutical industry lobbied social media over COVID vaccine content. BioNTech pressed Twitter to censor activists demanding low-cost generic vaccines, new files say. So the push included direct pressure from Pfizer partner BioNTech to censor activists demanding low-cost generic vaccines for low-income countries. So they were trying to monopolize it for their own version.
Well, I guess we should be thankful that they did that lobbying. Otherwise, people might have got a bunch of low-cost vaccines, right? Yeah. Like, so sometimes terrible things happen good things happen for terrible reasons.
Maybe those vaccines would have been more effective, though,
because
they're not controlled by big pharma.
Well, did you see that test? There was a result from Taiwan. Somebody did a test on young people, measured their EKGs after getting the jab. It was covered by Dr. John Campbell, but basically, like, now that someone looked at it, there was like 17% of kids had a change to their EKG after the shot, and it
like
went
immediately
up,
after it,
went up like, I don't know, within 30 days or something like that, and then it went up even higher after a second jab, right? And then literally 17% had it, like, they might not have felt anything, but there was a change. Like, nobody had measured the EKGs, and then actual cardiac events were still like 1 in 1,000 or for serious adverse reactions on this study group. And like, man, so it just showing that even if you don't die suddenly on the soccer field, you're like, the hearts are being affected, and the heart doesn't really regenerate, I think. And if you're doing damage to your heart as a kid, that could materialize 20 years from now. You don't want to do damage to your heart. It's sickening that they're still pushing this on kids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're still pushing booster commercials. I mean, hell, Jared and I, we were watching sports ball all day yesterday, and how many Pfizer commercials and like, oh, get your booster, go Vax Maryland commercials. Like, they're still pushing them, like the Maryland Department of Health. And I even just saw, let me try to pull it up here, but I saw even Walgreens still doing like, oh, if you're pregnant and you're a mother, get your booster. And it's like,
tell me, I mean, I it's really hard to believe the depopulation conspiracy agenda, but I know there are people legitimately sit there thinking, like, how can we like, there's too many people on this earth, messing around with pregnant women. I mean, come on. Right. Like, are you telling me they're just dumb, or they're just greedy, or they're not intentionally trying to increase the number of stillborn babies?
Man, I saw some pretty horrific shit whenever I was working whenever the vaccine first rolled out. I was working at a recovery center, and this was for women and children. So it was like a reunification program, right? And so they would women who'd lost their children due to substance abuse or whatever, they would, bring them in the program. Once they've been clean and stuck it out for a couple months, then they would get their kids back through DHS and they would live on site. Well, when the vaccine started rolling out, they told the women that they had to get the vaccine or else they wouldn't be able to get any visitors from the
That's
outside.
awful.
So this place was in the middle of nowhere, like very rural
That's
location.
disgusting.
And not only that, then they started offering like bags of candy to the kids if they got the vaccine as well.
Ugh,
Like, it was fucking disgusting, man.
that's fucked up.
Fucking
I mean, do
disgusting.
these people think they're serving the common good and are just misled, and they just follow orders and they're not able to question it, even if it means hurting children, like what was that? Oh, the Milford experiment. Where people will do harm if they feel it's coming from a legitimate.
Mm.
From an authority.
Milgram experiment.
Yeah, what's the name of that experiment? I'm having a
The Milgram experiment.
Milgram. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, people will harm another person if they're ordered to by an authority figure. This is what that experiment proved. So would somebody like, okay, I hope this kid doesn't have an adverse effect. I'm jabbing them. I'm, day after day, like, and not only jabbing them, but like coercing them into it. Like,
Yeah. All kinds of fucked up.
So what's the deal with this story here you shared, Drew?
Yeah. So you guys have heard about the rainbow fentanyl. I'm sure you've seen the headlines.
Oh yeah.
They're marketed towards children. Well, this is Business Insider actually sat down with one of the Sinaloa cartel's cooks, and he refuted that. Said the reason that they started putting, food coloring and all these different fentanyl pills and making them multicolored is so that way the end user on this side of the border can tell whenever their product has been laced with one of these pills. And that tracks 100% with what we've been hearing on the streets. For instance, there was a report that we got that there was some green meth going around and people were overdosing on it and it was fentanyl, and come to find out, bam. So we live in such a bizarro world that ruthless, bloodthirsty cartel members are more concerned about the well-being of citizens here on this side of the border than our own government officials.
so let me see if I understand this correctly. They put dye in their product, so in case it gets tampered with later, people know to abandon that whole color. Like,
yeah, if you get cocaine and it's pink or it's blue or whatever else, oh shit, something's not right about this.
James, it shows if the fentanyl was mixed in with other product.
Correct.
Because the dye
the dye
would
reacts
color
to the
the other
fentanyl?
product.
You can't.
No, the fentanyl's already dyed, so if it's mixed in with like cocaine, then the cocaine turns that color. Am I understanding that correctly, Drew?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You
Oh, I
got
see.
it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
So they're making the fentanyl and putting dye in the fentanyl. So
Right.
okay, to help you. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's that's why I threw it out there. I could not figure out what the end game would be for if you are a business and you are putting out a product that is killing people. I mean, if you have a business, you want return customers, bottom line. Well, if you're killing, first time users across the country, it doesn't really make any fucking sense, man. I couldn't wrap my head around that. And I didn't think that, that for a long time, it's like that doesn't seem like something the cartel would do. And who knows if this article's
Why are
accurate or
other
not.
people putting fentanyl in their drugs? I mean, that just seems like
I don't
they
know.
stop doing that.
For me, I can't pin that down. Honest to God. I mean, my tinfoil hat on, I'm saying this is this is government sponsored right here, 100%. Tinfoil hat off. I think, there's cases where you have people who are maliciously, spiking drugs to get back to somebody, or maybe just being an idiot and mishandling. You got two piles of white powder on your table.
So are there people that just use fentanyl straight up? Like that's just what they use, so they know the dosage that they need to take and
Yep.
they don't fuck it up?
Yeah. Yeah. People who are knowingly buying fentanyl are they know exactly what they need to take. Granted, with a illicit substance like that, it's impossible to tell, how pure something
Sure.
is or whatever else without a spectrometer, and then who's got the fucking money for that? But
Yeah.
it's
Maybe that's your next fundraising mission for your group.
look, I have had my eyes on it, man. There's a dude up in Canada named Daniel Larson, and he does this thing. It's like testyourdrugs.com or whatever, and you can legit mail a sample of your dope to this mailbox in Canada, and he'll test your shit and put it on the internet and let you know what it's in it.
Yeah, I mean, they've had drug testing kits around for a long time. I don't know how they work with fentanyl. I'm sure it's a different reagent that you need, but I remember testing like hallucinogens when I used to go to festivals and stuff.
Well,
like, you
has
wanna make
anybody
sure you
ever
have,
been
like,
has somebody ever been busted and talked about how they intentionally spiked their drugs with fentanyl?
I haven't. I mean, I'm sure it's been out there, but I have yet to hear anybody saying that.
I mean,
Now if
your tinfoil hat, theory with the federal government being involved. I mean, let's face it. During alcohol prohibition, they intentionally put poison in alcohol,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yep.
so to say that, like, oh, that's a crazy conspiracy theory. Well, no, they do shit like this all the time. And this is what prohibition is, right? It's like a sick war. And
Yeah.
they don't care if there's casualties, because the casualties will be us, not them.
Yeah, they sprayed
So-
the pot fields in the 80s and 90s. Remember, with that poison that was supposed to kill the plants, but they sold the plants anyway, and people got sick as hell over here for a little while.
There's no regard for the end result when these
Mhm.
guys do things. So would the federal government intentionally poison other drugs as a way to raise the need for themselves, right? To give them a reason to exist in public where, maybe, let's face it, if opioids were legal, even through like a pharmacy and your physician or whatever, but even just so people aren't having to buy from sketchy dealers and they can work with reputable vendors, get their dosages correct. They'd still have a drug problem, right? But there wouldn't necessarily be as big of an overdose problem, and there wouldn't be a crime problem, and those cartels would go away. Like,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, the DEA would go away. So,
Don't threaten me with a good time.
so doesn't this kind of thing, like, I can't think of this situation serving anyone but them.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. The only time I see somebody maliciously doing this is that they had like a bone to pick with somebody, And I've seen shit like that. Hell, somebody sold me an 8-ball of laundry detergent that let me try a line of like some of the best Coke I've ever done in my life, and they handed me a bag. I'm like, cool. Went home and snorted it, and about fucking died.
Jesus.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was a miscommunication. They had a bone to pick with me, and that's how they chose to do it. That being said, I cannot imagine a widespread enough common occurrence in the black market where that's happening over and over and over again to where we saw the overdose rates that we did over the last couple of years.
Right. There would be some carelessness. There'd be some whatever, petty bullshit.
Yeah.
But I just kind of doubted how big of a problem it was, but now I'm coming to realize that it is a wide scale problem. I thought it was hopefully something they were just exaggerating.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
somebody needs to figure out why that's happening and bust the people for doing it.
Yeah, I had a coworker who, unfortunately, this was about a year and a half ago, and I mean, I guess they knew he had a heroin addiction, or he would relapse, but yeah, apparently it was laced with fentanyl, and he's no longer here, and it was kind of fucked up. It's like I was just working with him on Friday, and then get the call from the owner on the weekend, like, hey, he's no longer here, and we're getting details. Yeah, and that's what and he left 2 kids.
Figuring out who did it.
I don't know. I'd have to, talk to his roommate. I haven't talked.
They
to him
probably
in a
don't
while,
even investigate this as a I mean, it's a murder, right? So,
Right.
I mean, are they investigating it as a murder, or is it just like, oh, another junkie?
I mean, I've heard them doing that for like celebrities that have died from fentanyl, but yeah, I mean, the average person, they're probably not giving a shit.
Yeah, it depends on your stature and the given municipality. If it's a college kid and they came from the right side of town, then they're going to investigate the shit out of that, make a name out of whoever sold it. And I'm torn on it, right? Like if you're selling fentanyl to somebody and that person knows that they're buying fentanyl, I think if there's an overdose that occurs then, like it's sad, it's tragic. I never want to see it happen, but that's not murder. But if you're selling somebody coke and it's fentanyl, like you're a fucking piece of shit. You deserve the wall,
Yeah,
like
that's
the
murder.
wall. Yeah,
That could
100%.
be. That's definitely murder.
Without a doubt.
That's why I just don't see like people doing it. Like, first of all, if you've already got cocaine, sell it as cocaine. People love that, right?
Yeah, they do.
If you've got fentanyl,
Right,
okay, sell it to somebody who loves fentanyl. Why would you mix the two together and spoil everyone's fun?
And the amount of fentanyl, it's not like you would cut it with fentanyl to like increase the volume, right? Like fentanyl is such a small, like it comes in such small amounts, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Like there'd be no reason. It's not like cutting it with like baking powder or some shit. Like there'd be no reason to do that. Am I understanding that correctly?
Like, hold on, go on. I was reading that one comment. My bad, dude.
Oh, no worries. So I was saying, like, I've understood in the past, like, things have been cut with like baking powder and stuff like that to like increase the volume and like pass off a less pure thing.
Yeah.
But like cutting with fentanyl, that doesn't really have the same kind of function, right?
No, I mean yeah, yes and no. So you can take, like, let's say you have a certain amount of cocaine, right? And you wanted to expand the amount that you had. You would cut it with baby laxative, something along those lines. With fentanyl, it's actually a mind-altering substance as well. It's a very potent opiate. So where it only makes sense to me, like if I was a dealer today, would be if you had a downer, you wanted to make more of a downer. Like if you wanted to, cut your heroin a little bit more with what you would normally cut it with, and then not have the end user notice, maybe putting in a little fentanyl into the batch to also like keep that potency up there.
That's right. If it's another opioid, right?
Yeah.
Like heroin. But
right.
wouldn't most
you
heroin
dilute-
users would probably be like, oh, you've got fentanyl? I'd rather have that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Would they? Or I guess there's
not like the majority of our people that we talk to, like some prefer fentanyl, but the majority would much rather go back to the days of like legitimate black tar heroin, like how it used to fucking be, like the good old days,
Good old days.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, that's where we're at. Man. Fucking, I mean, the whole market's like really weird right now. Methamphetamine you could do like $20 worth, and that would keep you up for multiple days on end. Now you do $20 worth, you're going through psychosis within 3 to 4 hours, and you're hungry within 6 to 7 hours. Like
I blame the Federal Reserve.
There we go. I'm good with that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What do you think's going on? Is it just like what's to blame? Is it the DEA or like?
I think the cartels figured out how to cook shit long ago. They figured out they can manufacture things themselves, make all the money. I mean, they have the networks for it. But the more of these products that are used to manufacture substances are banned, they're going to come up with another component of it and another one and another one. That's kind of what led us to a billion different forms of fentanyl like we have today. That's what led us to this weird methamphetamine that we see on the streets now. It's just real goofy, man. And here's the thing too. So like back in 2012, when I like initially got clean, an 8-ball of meth was going to run you $200, $250, depending on if you knew the person. I could get you an 8-ball of meth today in Oklahoma City for $20. Makes no fucking sense, dude. I don't see how you can even produce that substance and make a profit selling it at that kind of margin. Like it's
maybe it's
fucking
taxpayer
weird.
subsidized.
Could be.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, I mean, we're predominantly Maryland based. Babs is Philadelphia area, but I mean, opiate addiction's huge around here. You don't see meth too often. That seems like that's like a Midwest or
Midwest
out
thing,
west type, I don't know, drug of choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's heroin addiction's awful. And
I mean, what are the prospects? Like people fought so hard for legal weed. Like, is there a legit movement for legal everything, or is that still like a super fringe position?
Super fringe position. I mean, the thing is, I rarely talk to a single person, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on, that doesn't agree that a legalized marketplace would be the best way forward. But nobody believes it's possible. It's fucking maddening. It's kind of, if you're a libertarian and you're trying to talk
Hillary
to
Clinton.
people, huh?
Hillary Clinton said why. Hillary Clinton told us why. There's too much money in it.
Yeah, this is true.
That's why she had to keep it going.
I mean, it's a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing. Definitely a lot of cash tied up into it. Definitely a lot. There's an entire system based around, making a caste system of individuals who walk outside of cultural lines. I mean, that system's in place. They don't want that going away anytime soon. But all that to say is, at the end of the day, man, it's still, you're never going to fix this problem by keeping these substances illegal. All we're going to do is kill more people in the process.
All they can do, it seems like they're just like, well, we'll just have to hire more cops. We'll just have to beat up more black people. We're just going to have to do, we'll just have to be more tyrannical. I mean, when the solution is right in their face, I mean, like like junkies and meth heads don't have a lot of political clout, right?
No.
Like, if at least the ones not living in the White House, right?
Yeah. You ain't lying, man.
I mean, maybe Hunter Biden. We should talk to Hunter Biden and see if he could be the bridge between junkies and the government.
For sure. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Did you do time, Drew, or how'd you like?
Most time I did was 4 months, and that was just waiting to go to trial. So I never went to prison. That was just county time. So no, not really.
And then did that impede in like you getting sober, like going in and out of the system, and
yeah, I mean,
getting the right treatment, or
yeah, like that was I went to jail from, like, I ran out of town and got hooked up with the Alcoholics Anonymous group in another part of the state, and those guys like really helped me unfuck myself to the best of their ability, and kind of lay out some reality for me. And I knew I had a warrant for my arrest, and I was just like, shit, court clerks change all the time. They vote in new ones. They'll forget me. It was like what I was operating on. And they were like, no, man, you're an idiot. You're going to go turn yourself in. And so I went to Oklahoma County Jail with a full month sober at the time, and stayed clean in there, which, dude, there's more dope in there than there was on the street.
Like that's I witnessed that one time. I was in central booking one time in Baltimore City. First cell, even after they supposedly search you, take all your possessions, within the first holding cell, there's about 20 of us, and this kid whips out, or he wasn't a kid, he was old man, whipped out like a little pack of heroin out of his sock and was just did some lines off his possession paper that he signed for. And it's like, you can't even keep fucking, this is like, you literally just got into prison. Like you just came through, they searched you, they took all your stuff, and we can't even keep it out of prisons. Like that just goes to show the war on drugs is a failure.
The COs in there were the ones who were bringing it in. I was on that. So Oklahoma County Jail has 8 floors, right? So each floor you go up is more severity, right? And like you fucked up, right? So if you're up on one of the top floors, like you're looking at murder charges, whatever. Well, I was on the second floor. I mean, I was in for prescription fraud. I was nobody. And one of the COs actually brought a murder suspect from the top floor down to our pod because a witness for that case was in there, and like legit opened up the cell and let him walk in there and intimidate the witness. I watched that shit happen with my own fucking eyes.
Wow.
and we come to find out that this particular correctional officer was affiliated with this group of individuals to some degree. It was just dirty, dude. It was just
Wow.
dirty. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not nice people that run those things.
No,
No.
no, they're not.
Yeah, they're awful human beings. Yeah, that happened. It was a controversy a couple years ago in Baltimore City, where in central booking there was gang members that were COs, and it's
Wow.
like, yeah, no shit, they're part
Yeah,
of
dude.
it.
It's
They were
the
affiliated.
revolving door. It's the revolving
Yeah, I mean,
door.
how much?
between-
What's the process to become a CO? Just like fill out a sheet of paper like you're at Wendy's. I mean,
Open the door. I think.
Well,
Just open
come
the
on
fucking
in.
door. Come on in.
I think ideally you have to be willing to inflict violence when ordered to. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
you got to fail the IQ test.
yeah. If you don't have any other prospects, that's a plus.
Uh-huh.
Damn. Yeah.
Oh
that's-
man.
So you did the couple. What you said, a month there, Drew, or
4 months.
4 months? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've been sober since, or was
Yeah.
it like a
well,
rocky road after?
Yeah, I stayed sober for 7.5 years after that, and I had a little slip in 2019, but I've been sober since January 8th, 2020. So,
It's great, man.
That's great. And are
up
you
and
like
down.
completely like no alcohol,
Yep,
no
nothing, man.
caffeine?
The only thing I'll do is I will take really, really low THC, high CBD edibles. And I take those very, very sporadically,
Yeah. Will you
Uh,
avoid coffee as well?
I have gotten myself down to 1 cup in the morning.
What? How's
Yeah,
that
dude.
possible?
That's better
Yeah.
than me, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
And you call that
One
sobriety?
What's that?
And you call that sobriety?
I know, right? I'm the worst. I am the worst.
Yeah, you guys should lobby to take away coffee from the LP like convention floor, like meetings
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, see how that goes, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I love that. I love that shirt. Do you have that shirt still available, Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the saying on it? I'm having a brain fart.
The coffee pot at your local recovery meeting has done more to combat addiction than the entire DEA.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's dope.
Yeah,
Hell
except
yeah.
that it is an addiction. Like, so
for sure. For sure. I think that
But it's a productive one.
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
like
the
saying
rationale-
fentanyl has cured like 1 million heroin users. You know?
I'm sorry, I
No.
could not give up coffee. Like that's just
Nah.
yeah.
No.
I never went
Yeah,
to
let's
jail
not
for
take this
coffee,
too
bro.
far.
So we're,
Yeah,
we're
that's
good.
right.
Yeah.
If it was illegal, I would. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, what if-
I would not.
what if coffee
hesitate
was a
to
Schedule I
participate
drug,
in
you
the
know?
coffee black
For my
market?
cold, dead
I'd be right
hands.
there.
Yeah. fuck
Yeah.
that.
Oh man, well, it's cool hanging
right.
out, Drew.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. We can wrap up there and kick it on over to the after
Yeah,
hours.
plug away, man.
But yeah, once again, thanks for coming on, Drew. So yeah, once again, you're the founder of the LP Sober Caucus and Shred the Stigma. Where can people find out about both of those things?
Yeah, you can look me up on Twitter at Liberty Drew 84. I've got both of those entities in my bio. Sober Caucus we're working on a website eventually for Shred the Stigma. It is shredthestigmaok.org. And as with any starving nonprofit, we could damn sure use a couple shekels every now and again if you have any. So toss them our way.
Cool. Say the website one more time.
shredthestigmaok.org.
Nice.
Nice, cool, man. Yeah, we will add that in the show notes and get the word out.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yep. So yeah, we are sponsored by Libertarian Country. They offer really awesome t-shirts. You can use our promo code PRL to save 20% or 10%. And then PRL 20 if you order over $50, you can save 20%. And yeah, we also, as I mentioned earlier, we have an after hours program for as little as $3 a month. You can get access to that content. We do an after hour show. We do a live show now, so it's live on YouTube, but only to our patrons. So yeah.
And Rage Against the War rally, February 19th. We're gonna be there. We'll have a spot there. So check out the website, rageagainstwar.com. And we'll see everybody February 19th in DC.
Hell yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah. We got to push that more.
Yeah.
Push it real good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So,
All right. Well, until next time, help me out here, Alex. Everybody
you.
live free.
Or die.